Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, race fans. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. We're back for the International Sim Racing Series 2026 summer season. We are here, finally, at round 13, the season finale. We're here in the heart of the Brazilian capital. We're in Sao Paulo at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. More commonly referred to as Interlagos. A little bit of track info for you. 4.3 kilometers, 15 turns. Our drivers will have to negotiate today for the final round. Last time out at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, the LCSR car of G, also known as Rocket Bunny, took the championship win. One round early. A lot of drama in that race. Now today will just be for bragging rights and some last minute championship spots in the mid-pack. So we are most certainly bound for a good one here today. We have about just under 3 minutes until qualifying is set to start. We are unfortunately missing quite a few people today. Well, as of right now, but we shall see who shows up. You see Dumont dive into the pit lane to finish his first practice run. We're just about a minute out from the start of qualifying, depending on if we can get people here in time. Everyone currently in pit lane. There we go. There is our 1 minute warning from admin. So we're going to have 7 cars participating unless more people show up during the middle of qualifying. Alright, qualifying is underway. We're going to have 8 here today for the season finale. Green lights at the end of the pit lane, 20 minutes of qualifying. Fastest time sets the grid order. You already know that. You join Dokuno as he's always the first car out. Dokuno rounds turn 15. Start his first flying lap of the day, followed behind by Intensimo. Down to the braking zone of turn 1. Make sure to get the car rotated through the Seta S. Dokuno into the final braking zone of the lap. Climbing up the hill. We'll see where our first round of laps gets us. Dokuno, since it's a benchmark of a 133.1, Intensimo goes ahead with a 32.9. We'll then see Dumont and Merrick. Dumont giving an insane slipstream to Merrick behind. Dumont, the American, is going to set down a 35.8. Merrick a 36.2. And then Ristic, a sub in for today's race, goes into third fastest with a 34.2. See Andreo start his first flying lap. Pratsama is going to cross the line and with a 33.922 go third fastest. Only one driver to break into the 32s. Intensivo, longtime veteran of this series. We'll have to wait to see what Andreo does on his first flying lap. And if you remember, Andreo P2 in the championship, and that's where he'll stay. If I am not mistaken, he should be safe from behind. Fortunately, lost out on the championship title last time out in California at Laguna Seca. Yeah, well, Andreo is safe in P2. However, we have Kuno and Alden fighting it out for the final position on the championship podium. As we see Ristic around into the grass in the final braking stop. Wow. I'm just gonna stop. Anyway, Andrea coming around the 15th and final corner of this racetrack. I'm gonna cut the beam, set a 36.0. Not the type lap you want to see SP2 in the championship. Alden improve. Slightly ahead of his championship rival Dakuno. Andreo subsequently setting the fastest first sector time of the day. Andrea taking a little bit trip onto the grass, and Tensevo also improving with a 32.538. Andrea not looking happy with this lap. Andrea sets a new personal fast lap at a 33.3. Currently P4 in the order. Take a check-in with our provisional pole sitter. One of the two cars to break into the 32s and the fastest one to do it. Andreo up to P2 now. Just a slightly slower lap time than the car we are following right now. Oh, and Intensivo's onto the grass and around. Whoa. 360 and then some. Join in with Andrew, BWT Porsche. As we are just about halfway through this qualifying session, you're probably going to start seeing drivers dive into the pit lane. As I say that, we have Intensivo on pit lane. Kuno improving his own time, unfortunately not his position. He breaks another 32s. And we have about a second gap between 4th and 5th. We'll see a quick little pit stop from the BWT team. Fresh soft rubber going on for the pink Porsche. As he now teleports to the end of the pit lane. We'll join Dokuno for another flyer. Hop on board with the 111 Mercedes. I believe he's going to dive in the pit lane. Never mind. Hop on board with the reserve for today. As race before, is still a reserve, not quite yet a full-time driver. We'll join Merrick for a lap, how about that? And into turn 1, making sure to get the car rotated enough. Really difficult to get these GT3s rotated around this track. Down the back straight into another good overtaking opportunity. Making sure not to wash out too wide on the exit of that corner. Up into the technical middle sector. And again, making sure to rotate these GT3 cars enough is paramount. Down in the final braking zone. Again, making sure not to wash out too wide into the grass. Cause yourself to spin out. Now up the hill through turns 14 and 15. You're going to cut the beam with a 33.6 and it improves up to P5. Alden washing a little bit wide on the exit of the bottom of the hill. Tenterville once again improving his time. You have just under 5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. So far, it's Intensivo on provisional pole with our P2 championship man in P2. We then have Alan Pratama, 32.730 in P3, fighting for third place in the championship with the man behind him. P4 is Dokuno with 32.9, last of the 32s. Move up to the 33s with Merrick, 33.6 in P5. P6 is a 33.7 of Andrew. Mystic again subbing in today, 33.7 to come home in P7 right now. And we have the American Dumont with the 35.5 in P8. Allen improves time and not position. Gives him a little bit of breathing room to the car behind and cuts away a little bit of that gap. And we also see that Andreo has actually overtaken provisional pole with a 32.3. Daguno also again improving his time, but not his position. Alan's going to see that delta a little bit lower. Just make sure he has to get a clean lap to give himself a little bit more breathing room once again. Oof. Alden dipping tires into the grass. It's going to ruin his exit and his run up this hill towards the line. We'll see if he makes any improvement in that Audi. He does not. He'll go again though. See, Andreo broken into the 31.6s, currently sitting 9/10 clear on provisional pole. Mystic improve his time and position, overtakes Merrick to go up to P5 with a 33.140. And say about 2 laps to go for Andreo until we get the checkered flag. Andreo with what looks to be a pretty tidy lap so far as he comes to the end of the second sector. The third sector is just one braking zone and a long run up to the line, so we'll see if he can lay down the brakes well enough here, and looks like he has not actually had a good tidy lap through the first 2 parts. See Dokuno improving up to P2 with a lap that posts a 32.353, clearing both his championship rival and the original provisional pole sitter. Driver should be getting the final lap warning any second now. There it is. Ristic will see that. Gonna try and finish out this lap as cleanly as possible. And he does not. He's off into the grass. A little bit of lawn mowing. And that's going to be his lap done and dusted. Andrews stationary on the grass, letting people go to avoid impeding as much as possible. See any improvement? No, not from Mystic. But Dakuno, is he going to have any improvement up to the line? Not quite. Drill looks like it's going to be a pole position for the final race of the season. And we'll take the final bit of the checkered flag to end our qualifying session for round 13 of the 2026 summer season. You're going to have to wait a little bit of time because there are some cars in the pit lane. Alright, and that concludes your final qualifying session for the 2026 summer season. You agreed? All fits on one page. You have Andreo on pole, the final pole position of the season. Only car to break into the 1 minute 31, so at .635. Nokuno launched up to P2 in the closing minutes of qualifying with 32.353. In the Ferrari's Intensivo with a 132.534. Ellen, first of the two Audi R8s in a row with a 32.665. P5 is Ristic, again a reserve, taking on a role as a driver in the final race of the season in a 33.140. P6 is Merrick with a 33.343. First of our two Porsches is Andrew in the BWT Porsche with a 33.600. P8 rounding out the grid is the American Dumont in his Porsche with a 35.582. Race start in about 4 minutes time, 42 laps of Interlagos coming your way. Go get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, and we'll be right back. We have the 1 minute warning from our Armando Cuno. Round 13 of the 2026 summer season for the International Sim Racing Series. Coming your way, 42 laps of Interlagos. 8 cars taking the final green flag of the season. Andrea on pole secured a P2 in the championship. Okuno and Alden fighting out for the final spot on the championship podium today. Okuno starting 2 positions in front of the Indonesian. Eight cars lined up on the grid. Andrea on pole, Okuno just behind. Cars fired up, and we start to roll away. The International Sim Racing Series goes racing in Brazil in 3, 2, 1. Green, green, green. We go racing towards turn 1. Andrea from Okuno from Intensivo. All starting to file in single file into the braking zone. All in line down the Senna S. Merrick already all over the back of Ristic. Andrea are starting to pull away as we see Intensivo under attack from Alden. Alden up the inside of turn 4. Intensivo later on the brakes takes away around the outside. We have Merrick going super wide, trying to bring it to Ristic. Alden still putting pressure on Intensivo in the opening sector, or excuse me, the middle sector. Okuno and Andrea already starting to pull away from the rest of the field. Merrick trying to get any sort of advantage she can on the Croatian in front of him. See, Andrea was already 2.3 seconds out in the lead. Absolutely blistering opening lap pace from P2 in the championship, as we see Andrew now looking to be under attack from Ristic and Dumont actually, and we see Merrick off in the background. Going super deep into turn 1, he's off, and Dumont's up to P7. Intensivo still with Alden in his mirrors. Alden dealing with a little bit of understeer in that Audi. Intensivo with a little bit of a twitch out of the final traction zone. Not going to have the best exit. That's going to allow Alden to have a run on him down the main straight. Alden ducking and weaving, trying to get past Intensivo. Intensivo with the inside line, and Alden's off! Dipped a wheel in the grass in the braking zone, and he is off. Mystic now all over the back of that pink and blue Porsche. He uses the slipstream, tries to make himself big in the mirrors, force Andrew into a mistake. And there it is. Andrew makes a mistake, loses the rear end just a little bit, and Mystic slips by. Race already settling down now. Still small gaps. We see Dumont now catching up to the back of Andrew. As you can see on the map, Andreo just absolutely disappeared from the rest of the field. Oh, you have a car around! It's Andrew, and Ristic's also off. Andrew around in turn 1, Ristic way deep into turn 1. That means Merrick gets back up to 6th, and Dumont up to P5. Dumont running super wide out of turn 4. Scurry get hit with that half-second time penalty for track limits for running out wide. Merrick widened onto the grass just a tad. Merrick sees ahead that Dumont is going to have that penalty. Through the penalty line, you're going to hit with that forced deceleration. Merrick's going to get by. Uncontested. Is Ristic going to have the run as well? It's going to be closed down into... Actually, not really. Dumont's going to stay ahead into turn 1, it looks like. Oof, really close to contact there. Dumont taking the center line, trying to stay somewhat defensive. Making sure not to tack on any other penalties. And Ristic's around once again. We saw in the background he was cutting that corner a little bit. One of his rear tires most likely still on the gravel, or excuse me, the grass, and his Audi is around once again. Now Dumont's focus is going to shift forward a little bit as he tries to find some pace out of himself and that Porsche to chase down the Mercedes in front of him. Meanwhile, you can see Andrea with a 12, almost 13 second gap. We're on lap 6 of 42 of round 13 of the 2026 International Sim Racing Series summer season. Here in Interlagos. The race already settling down with only 8 cars participating. Andrea firmly in the lead of this thing. And see Alden just slowly chopping that gap down to the Ferrari in front of him. Alden breaking into that 1 second margin. Tucked into the slipstream a little bit. Isn't really all that powerful outside of 0.6 a second, but it is helping slightly. Just about 6.5 tenths is your gap between Intensvo and Alden. Apologies if there isn't much talking from me. You can definitely tell that this race already starting to get, I don't want to say boring, but definitely settled already. All the cars finally settling into their true pace. slight little battle here, but there's still a sizable enough gap to where Alden can't really do much. Just a small mistake from Intensivo. Alden might have the run on him here as we head down across the line to start lap 10 of 42. Down the pit straight towards turn 1. Alden trying to have maybe make himself a little bit big in the mirrors of that Ferrari. And Alden's off and around. Got you facing the right way, but that's gonna be that battle done as well. You see, Andrew has now passed him on as well. We'll check it with our leader, who's currently 16 seconds ahead of the competition. You see Andrea diving into the pit lane already. On those softs, clearly taking a beating from his absolutely scorching pace. If he can get a good out up here, look at an absolutely massive undercut. Just gonna take tires, no fuel going into that Lexus. He's gonna come out alongside Alden, or just behind it appears. Let's see if anyone else is on the softs. It looks... no, not quite. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe Andrea bolted on another set of softs. Those are going to be fired up now at the end of this lap. Oh, Andrea with a big slide after getting past Alden. Andrea apparently did a little bit of studying, able to know where the track limits are. Gap between Intenso and Andrea is already under. Holy! Andrea displaying absolutely ruthless pace today. Maybe channeling a little bit of anger from losing out on the championship. All over the bumper of that Ferrari. And side by side through turns 6 and 7. Andrea later on the brakes trying to go around the outside of 8. He's going to make it stick. Rayo now setting his sights on the German car in front. Gap is about 2.8 seconds, but I imagine that won't last very long. And as expected, the gap is now gone as Andrea is side by side with Dokuno. Andrea runs super wide, takes out the 50 board in the final braking zone. I imagine he might get hit with a penalty for that. Yep, and it's a 1 second penalty. We'll be serving it next time around. He's going to have a run on the 111 Mercedes. I wouldn't expect Acuna to fight it too much as long as he feels he can stay within a reasonable gap to allow Andrea to take that penalty and slip past once again. Side by side down the back straight. Between positions 2 and 3 in the championship, Andrea slips by back into the lead of the race. Now Dacuno is just going to try and stay behind him as close as possible, even though Andrea's pace has been absolutely insane. see Ristic now with the medium saving in the pit lane. Andreo sees that yellow bar period above Andreo's head. He's going to serve that penalty out of the next corner. Andreo forced to decelerate. Gonna have a run on him, and that's gonna be an easy repass for the 111 Mercedes. Andreo using absolutely all the track and then some. Staying in the middle, I don't believe it's going to matter all that much. Trying to keep Andreo behind. Just a tad bit of an overlap. Andreo holding it around the outside. My goodness. Andreo's just being absolutely different today. You now see Dokuno in the box, taking on fresh rubber and taking a splash of fuel. As I say, more than definitely going to be on the softs. Going to ride this tank till empty and then make another stop at the end. Make another stop to get to the end, I should say. Tenso now into pit lane. And see Rissick now chasing down Merrick, trying to get into P6 as we're approaching half distance. Drown all over the back of Bratama finally. Andreo now into pit lane. Once again, folks, very sorry for the lack of commentary on this race, but I'm sure most of you would agree that this race hasn't been the most exciting. You see Pratama into the pit lane now. I have 16 laps to go in this race. A little bit of gray cloud cover glooming over as we see Dokuno now in pit lane. It's going to gift Intensivo back the lead. And likely going to bolt on a fresh set of mediums to satisfy his requirement. Actually, he's already done both tires. CAP bolts on a fresh pair of softs to finish out the race and fill up his tank to where it needs to be. Looks like Ristic has been sitting in the pit lane and is going to retire from today's race. Andrea finally now under pressure from Dokuna behind in the 111 Mercedes. A gap cut down to just about half a second thanks to a track limits penalty served by Andrea on the previous lap. So we come down to 6 laps remaining in this season finale. See basically 3 cars on top of each other as we see Alden getting really twitchy and slow out of the third corner. Trying to have a look up the inside of Andrea. And Andrea's super wide, a little bit of glitching going on him. Andrea with a little bit of a twitch out of turn 4. That's going to allow Dokuna to have the run up towards 6. And he's going to get by. Dokuna's going to take P2. Drill! Huge slide down the hill. Mystic, if you can hear me, please leave the race. If you're going to retire, just next time leave the race and don't just sit in the pit lane. Gonna cut the beam with 3 laps to go. Andreo's pace seems to have left him in the closing stages of this race. He's going to hit with a half-second time penalty for track limits. Saw that he did, in fact, cut turn 2. Pensvo now all over the back of Andrea. He's going to see that he has that penalty as well. Andrea going to be forced to slow down. That's going to allow Intensvo to slip by more than definitely. Two to go in their season finale. Most of the cars on the same bit of track. And Alden also staring at his first win of the season. As you see, a car is around. It's Alden! Alden's spinning in the lead and Dacuno's gonna get by! Oh no! Whoa, big contact between Andrea and Alden. That big mistake from Alden Pratama. Dacuno inherits the race lead in Intensivo P2. And there's the chance of Alden's first race win slipping away. We are now on the final lap of the Brazilian 180, round 13, the finale of the International Sim Racing Series 2026 summer season. You're on the final lap of this summer season, and what a season it has been. A lot of great racing, a lot of drama, close championship fights, multiple different winners. It's been the same, basically the same people, but they have all been trading wins. Andrea and G absolutely dominating the rest of the competition. As of right now, it's going to come full circle. Our Admin Dacuno won the first race of the season, won the season opener. And he's going to win his second race of the season to close it out. Dacuno wins the Brazilian 180. Intensivo just behind, comes home in P2. Andrea gonna come home in P3. Absolutely dominant pace in the opening stages of the race. Last couple of mistakes. And he is going to come home in P3. Allen, win looked all but secured for him. Unfortunately, he's going to make a mistake on the penultimate lap and come home in P4. Now have Merrick versus Andrew as we come into the closing corners of their race. Dumont's going to finish just before them. And a small mistake from the Mercedes. Two German manufacturers going at it into the final braking zone. Merrick's going to be really far ahead. Andrew really good under braking there. Is he going to have the run? Somewhat of a slipstream maybe as we head towards the line. Doesn't look like it's going to be powerful enough. Merrick's going to stay ahead for the time being. Merrick, great season from him as well. Going to come home in P5. The BWT Porsche as well. Great season from him. Andrew coming home in P6. Absolutely great race today from all involved. Take a look at your final standings for the final race of the 2026 summer season. Dokuno taking his second win of the season. He won the season opener back in Bathurst. Comes home in P1 to round out the season once again. Coming full circle for our German admin. Intensivo, again, a veteran of this series as well. Him and Okuno have been battling for seasons now. Coming home in P2 to round out the season. The two OGs showing they still have the pace to compete with the newer guys. Andreo coming home in P3. Again, great pace in the opening stints of the race. Unfortunately, some mistakes cost him the win. He finishes on the podium just about 9 seconds off of the car in front. Further 25 seconds back is Alden. Had a commanding lead in the late stages of this race. Unfortunately, a spin on the final lap shows him down in P4. Merrick, great season from him. Andrew as well, coming home in 5th and 6th respectively. A lap down is the American Dumont. We have one of our reserves coming in for the last race of the season, unfortunately not finishing this race out. Well, my thanks to all of our admin team for all the work they do throughout this season. Includes Dokuno, Amber, Dura, Andreo, myself, Fabio. Incredible season from them. Huge thanks to Dokuno for putting this all together as always. My thanks to all the drivers, of course. Without them, there would be nothing to broadcast for all of you. And with that being said, my thanks to all of you for joining me this season, this first full season where I've broadcasted. I'm very grateful to be doing this. I'll see. And I'm looking forward to what the next season will bring. Absolutely incredible season race today. Or this season, I should say. Final standings will be posted on Instagram in the coming days, as well as the calendar for the fall season and the dates for when you can sign up if you're interested. If you are, go to the simgrid.com/international sim racing series. We have that. We have the endurance series that runs every few Saturdays. But until then, my name is Jack Plays. Thank you for joining me for the International Sim Racing Series 2026 summer season. And I'll see you in a few weeks' time when the International Sim Racing Series returns. Goodbye for now.